Hi, welcome to the eSpark podcast. Today we're talking to Erica Rankin, founder of Brodo and viral TikTok star. Erica shares her journey from making dough in her apartment to going viral on TikTok and scrambling to keep up with the ensuing demand. She gives us tips and tricks for TikTok and teaches us how to grow a product following on social media. Let's dive in and chat with Erica. Well, let's start with TikTok. Tell me about how you got started on TikTok. What was your first video? What drove you to do it?
So TikTok, I downloaded just as a user in 2020, like when the pandemic first kind of hit, because everyone was at home and bored and scrolling, and it was kind of the new trending app. And I think there was like, I don't know, like a couple 100 million downloads, like from the end of 2019 to 2020, just because of the pandemic. I only started actually creating content on it, I think like at the end of 2020, maybe early 2021. I posted here and there. I kind of had this idea in my head that it was a kids app and that I wouldn't really get much value out of it. Like my business wouldn't get much value out of it. But my friend proved me wrong. So my friend has a company called Paper Shoot Camera, and she hired a girl to create content on TikTok, and they posted every day consistently. And I think it took a few weeks, but they blew up. Her new business was exploding, like organically. She wasn't really spending a lot of money on ads. So I was kind of watching all this happen on the sidelines and was like, I had FOMO, and and
Why not me?
I know. And I watched it. I watched all of this unravel like so quickly. And I was like, holy crap, this is insane. Like you can get crazy organic reach. Like there are brands dumping thousands of dollars into like agencies and paid ads that are not even getting this ROI. And all you do is set some time aside every day or whatever. You like time block for a few hours a week and you can put out this content, and you never know, like something might blow up, might go viral, and you get like tons of visibility for pretty much $0. You just have to put some time and energy into it. So I was like, okay, I'm going to make a promise to myself and I'm going to try to stick with it. I think it took like a few weeks, and my laziest TikTok blew up. I remember I made it like at 11 at night. I got home from the kitchen. It was basically a compilation of videos of the dough mixing. Yep. And then there was like a voiceover. So I remember posting it. There was nothing fancy about it. I posted it late at night. I woke up the following morning and my Shopify like notification thing, like the cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching is going off over and over. I thought of like, okay, something's wrong here. This is broken. That's not normal. I've never had that happen before. And then I had my notifications for TikTok turned off, but I went onto Instagram and I started like had hundreds of followers from nowhere, like within 10 hours. Yeah. And I was wondering, I'm like, okay, where did they come from? And then I went to TikTok, and then my video had like 200,000 views and 300,000 views, and it was going viral basically. And I think within the span of 48 hours, I had 150 orders. And mind you, I only sell in Canada. So imagine if I were to open that up to the US, I don't know how many orders it would have been. It would have been insane. But I was panicking. Like while it was such a great thing for me, I was like, okay, I am working out of my apartment. I make the products myself. I wear all the hats. Half my inventory is at the kitchen. Half's in my living room in the freezer. Like, what do I do? And I remember messaging my friends who helped me in the kitchen. And I was like, we have a problem. Like I'm getting too many orders and I don't know if I have enough cookie dough. Like, can we go to the kitchen tonight and can we just like make as much dough as we can? So we went for like, I think 3 or 4 hours, got back at like midnight or whatever. I think I pumped out like 400 jars, brought them back to my condo, put them in my living room. And then my best friend who has that company who blew up on TikTok, I messaged her and I was like, can you help me fold boxes for orders this weekend? Yeah. So she came over and helped me. And that's kind of how that all started. And then over the past year, I've grown the account to over 200,000 followers. And that's kind of just been my main platform for marketing, completely organic.
That's incredible. What an awesome story. I love it, man. It's like, I started to say that's like the American dream alive, but it's a Canadian dream.
A Canadian dream. Yeah, that's right. It's pretty cool.
That is very cool. So when you said your orders popped to 150 in a couple hours, like what were you normally doing in a couple hours?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Like I wouldn't get that many orders. Like it takes time, right? Like I would have to fold the boxes. I had to hand stick the labels onto each jar. I had to bubble wrap them, put an ice pack in. I would write a handwritten note. I remember I sat on my couch and I think I binge watched like a few shows, and I remember just like writing note after note after note after note and getting hand cramps with the person's name on it. Like I really loved that personal touch. But yeah, it like I remember waking up at like 4 a.m. and like getting up early so I could like meet the FedEx like drop off time. And it was a little crazy. And I don't know what I would have done if it was any more than what it was. And at the time too, like my product's perishable, and thank God it was winter because I just the night before, like it was the weekend, I packed all my orders and then I put them on my balcony outside.
Yeah.
Just
I was
like,
just going to ask, did you leave them outside? Yeah.
yeah, so in the Canadian winter, like thank gosh, but that's kind of what I did. And then yeah, finished the rest the following morning. But it was crazy. It was crazy.
What a whirlwind. So what, that happened. Obviously, your reach has just continued to grow. You're growing on TikTok. Kind of how have you adjusted longer term? Because obviously you can't stay up till 4 a.m. or get up at 4 a.m. every morning. You can't stay up till midnight
Yeah.
making dough or handwriting. Or how did you make that transition?
Yeah, that was tough. I'm not gonna lie. Taking it from doing it everything yourself to outsourcing operations, scaling a company is no joke, especially a food company. So I found a manufacturer in Toronto. So I ended up moving like 6 hours away again. So went to Ottawa, found a manufacturer in Toronto, moved to Toronto. We did our first production run in December. And then now I have a company that does all my online fulfillment. So when I hear the cha-ching sound, I'm like, okay, cool. I don't have to do anything.
Yes. It's no
They
longer a
take care
panic
of it.
moment. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like I still have some worry sometimes because there's the odd order that kind of gets goofed up or like something happens or
Yeah.
with like the warmer weather, like there's, but it's not like oh my gosh, I have to wake up tomorrow early and pick and pack and ship. And then by the time I've done it all, I'm not going to have time to like answer emails. And yeah, it was a lot for sure. And that was probably my least favorite aspect of the business. I'm very happy to not be doing it anymore.
Oh, I bet. I bet, man. Before I started our Amazon agency, we were doing private label products on Amazon, and that's where I cut my teeth. And it's similar story. You're up late at night packing your packages,
Yeah.
trying to meet the FedEx person, trying to scale. It's those early days are just crazy. But it's honestly like looking back, you're like, I don't know if I'd trade that for anything. Like,
It's a story, like you got to go through it. And it makes you, I don't know, appreciate where you're at so much more because you went through all of that shit to get there. And I feel
yes.
like you can't really skip it. You have to go through it. And then you can understand your business a lot better too when you go through all of that. Like you're in the trenches, you're doing everything yourself.
Definitely gives you appreciation for every role. And I think it enables you to hire
Mhm.
better too, right? Like you've done
Absolutely.
that. You've sweated it out. So now we have our fulfillment, our manufacturing in place. Now what are you focusing on day to day?
So I am growing it in a different channel. So I never really dipped into retail that much, especially with the pandemic. It was really difficult. But yeah, this year is a year of retail. I partnered with a distributor, a national distributor, and a broker. And by the summer, we should be in over 100 stores. And then by the end of the year, hopefully over 300. I actually just got another listing today that I really, really
Nice.
wanted. So thank you. Yeah, super
Congrats.
exciting. So that's kind of what I'm doing. And I'll be spending the summer doing different events, pop ups, demos, getting the brand out there. I'm going to do my first trade show in September in Toronto and I'll have a booth.
Ooh.
So that'll be exciting because I've never
Yep.
done that before because, pandemic times didn't
Hmm.
get to enjoy that yet. But yeah, so that'll be good. I'm excited for that.
What trade show are you doing?
So it's the Canadian Health Food Association, the CHFA East show. So
Mhm.
2 weeks ago, there was the Vancouver one. So I flew out there and I just walked the floor, got to meet some brands, see some buyers. And then this one is, I guess, like the bigger show. And there's buyers, retailers, there's other brands. Apparently, it's huge. So not as big as Expo West,
Yeah.
but yeah.
I was just going to ask you, it sounds like the Canadian version of Expo West.
Yeah, a little bit. It's just a scaled down version for sure. It's more affordable for brands as well because Expo West is a hefty investment.
Yes. That trade shows,
Yeah,
man, they get you. It is expensive.
it is.
So what are you doing for booth setup? Did you hire somebody? You doing it yourself?
Yeah, honestly, so I kind of went to the Vancouver show a few weeks ago to get some inspiration. So I just walked the floor and I looked at other booths and like I have a graphics team. They did all my packaging. They do everything for me. They're gonna design like a booth like set up for me. I'll probably just have like a backdrop. I don't know. I think I have some fun, like maybe cookie costumes or
Yeah.
branded outfits, stuff like that. Lots of cookie dough samples. Yeah, it should be good. And I love that aspect too, that I kind of get to be creative and get to like design it how I want, make it stand out.
Oh yeah. I mean, now you really get to flex your chops because when you're on the floor, it's all about just drawing eyes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I've seen some great booths. I think giving people something is huge. I spent a couple months in Istanbul, Turkey, and I went to the Grand Bazaar, and those guys do this so well. Like as soon as you get close to them, they run up and they give you a little cup of tea. And I read about this later, but it's the law of reciprocation. So as soon as somebody gives you something, you feel like, okay, I have to at least listen to you, give you my attention, whatever. So if you were to give out, I don't know, samples would be killer. I mean, there's just so many cool ways to get things out of the shows. And that usually I've seen draw people in.
Yeah, like I'm thinking I have like these really cool spoons that I ordered that are like mini shovels. They're super cute. Just like super on brand doing that. Yeah. Like I noticed too, like just like make a lot of eye contact. Cause even yesterday, like I went to like a pop-up thing with a bunch of different booths and you're walking by and if you make eye contact with like the person at the booth or the founder, then you're like, oh man, now I gotta go. Like, I feel bad if I don't go.
Yeah.
And then it takes you like 9,000 hours to like go around because you stop at every single booth because you keep like stopping and looking and making eye contact, you know, like I think that's a huge thing too.
Oh yeah. I mean, I've seen some people that are just dead weight at booths and I'm like, what are you guys doing? You know, they're sitting their heads down on their phones, and I'm like,
missed opportunities. Yeah.
Yeah, you paid like 10 grand to be there, man. Get off your phone. Or like an Expo West, more than that.
Oh yeah. I had conversations with people, even to walk the floor. I think it was like $1,000 not to even have a booth. Yeah.
Get you, man. They got to make up for that, you know, for 2 years not being able to work with COVID.
That's true.
That's awesome, though. I mean, I'm loving your story. So Brodo, we're going to be out in retail stores this year. Can you share which ones yet?
Yeah, so we're doing the Sobeys local program. I don't know if you're familiar with Canadian stores, but I'll just go off of
Sobeys. There'll be Canadian listeners.
Yeah. So Sobeys local program in Ontario. Healthy Planet, we're getting listed in Ontario. Fortino's this summer. There's a couple other independents that we're working on. Everything's on our website, brodo.ca, as we launch. And then maybe later this year, depending on how things go, some national listings, which will be really exciting. But we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Okay. So have you guys tapped into any other online channels yet? Have you looked at marketplaces, any sort of, I'm trying to think, tell me, because I don't know any kind of sort of Canadian grocery chains, but any, you know, online grocery chains, marketplaces, anything like that?
So it's challenging because my product's frozen. So that's kind of the barrier that I've been running into. Like there are a lot of like well.ca, like I'm on Fair, but again, like it's difficult because I'm in Canada and it's frozen and it's even to ship it, like it's pretty expensive. So it's kind of like the barrier that I've been running into. And that's why I'm hoping the distributor, like that really helps with that. And then that way, like whatever retailer store wants to order, they can just flip through the catalog and then order my product directly from the distributor. But yeah, definitely I want to sell into the US. I don't know if it'll be cookie dough. There might be another product like coming down the road. Yeah. Okay. So we'll see what happens with that because I don't want to, like, there's just so much opportunity with the States. And I guess for perspective, like Canada's population is like, I don't know, 38 million or 36 million or something. And that's like similar to California's population. So, I mean, and we're very sparse. So for me to like ship a package from here to like out west is like, it's awful. It's truly awful. And I would love to just, you know, open up the US market because it's just so big, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, most of our clients sell in the US and Canada, and traditionally it's probably a 90-10 or an 80-20 split in terms of revenue, 80% being US, 20% being Canada. Nothing against Canada, but as you know, it's just smaller.
I am, though. I have a guy who's helping me get listed on Amazon.
Nice.
But it will be, so it's not FBA, so we'll have to do our own fulfillment with my 3PL. But it's been almost 4 months of going back and forth with Amazon because they don't like some of my ingredients. And they're really hard to communicate with, it seems. So we're like working on it. Yeah, because the Canada food laws are weird here. And there's like a... Yeah.
You know, I always empathize with the people I work with because they're like, man, Amazon sucks. And I'm like, look, I know just because I help you with it doesn't mean I'm on Amazon's side. I'm on your side. I agree they suck. I just exist to facilitate and make that easier for you guys. So I'm sure whoever's helping you out is equally as frustrated.
Oh my gosh, absolutely.
It's crazy. Amazon Canada, their ingredients restrictions are just nuts to jump through. You guys have some, not you, but you know, Canada has some really strict rules around that.
Yeah. There's just one ingredient. Like it's kind of boring, but monk fruit concentrate. So you can have that in there, but just straight up monk fruit you can't. But I have concentrate, so we're trying to communicate that with them. But it's just like this, like back and forth, like ping pong game or telephone. Like, can we find a human to talk to, or you know, like it's tricky. And yeah, I mean, if I were to try to do all that on my own and get that set up, like I'd be pulling my hair out 100%. So I'm glad that I have someone who's like helping me figure it out, because it really is a whole process for sure.
It is. It's crazy. Amazon, first off, you have that low level support that they're just following a script. If you can get past them into the catalog team or one of the internal teams, you might get somebody that can fix it for you. But then a lot of times changes get reverted automatically because they have algorithms that run based off of all these rules. So then that can get turned around. Whatever. I'm going to bore the audience, but I'm glad you got somebody in your boat. Most people need it at this stage, and it's a huge boost to get on Amazon, as I'm sure you know.
Yeah. And this is just Amazon.ca too. Like I can't imagine.
Yeah. We'll just wait till we get to North America. It's gonna be a blast. So tell me, so now you're doing TikTok with Erica, right? So you had this experience, you had this awesome success with TikTok, and you're saying, hey, copy me. Let's get that success for you. Can you tell me about kind of what you're doing there?
So I've had probably like for the longest time, like 5 to 10 brands reach out to me a week, like asking for help with TikTok. And even just like other platforms, just organic marketing, because I've been really, I guess, good at that aspect of the business. Like there are some things that I really suck at. Like we can't be good at everything, but marketing and storytelling and building not only like a following, but a loyal following who engages with your content regularly. Like I've gotten really good at that. And I've kind of been mentoring people and helping people with that. And then it just got to a point where I was like, okay, should I monetize this, and should I just like launch a course, or should I put something out there that can help people just kind of go through and they can learn on their own and just have those skills for life? Like they'll have them, have access to them, versus me having a one-off conversation with a ton of different people. And, so I decided to launch a course. I launched my TikTok course like a month or so ago. And I filmed like PowerPoints and went through everything, explained everything, broke the app down into 4 different categories. People can just like log in and create it or go at it at their own pace. And then there's like homework with each thing as well. So I kind of give them like to-dos before they move on to each section. But yeah, I mean, everything that I've learned over the past year has been through trial and error. I'm kind of a nerd, and like I took other TikTok courses. I went into like Clubhouse, like a chat room, and I listened to like TikTok creators like talk about the platform and how they grew, and kind of learned what worked, what didn't work. And there really is no secret to it. You just have to be really consistent, and then you have to like, there are some certain things that you can like layer in to like help you increase your chances of going viral or getting visibility or building like a really great following. But yeah, so that's kind of passive income that helps pay the rent, because my current hustle doesn't really pay the rent right now. I'm gonna be honest. And then I have a couple clients too that I help one-on-one, just like with their social media, whether it be LinkedIn or TikTok.
That is awesome. I mean, I'm just impressed by your creativity. It's so smart to monetize it one-to-many, because like you said, one-to-one, yeah, it's great. You're helping one person, or you can make a course and help 1,000 people or 10,000.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is just such an awesome way to do it. And it's funny because I feel like there's sort of a stigma. They're like, oh, you took a course. Like a lot of courses are scamming. I'm sure there's some scammy courses out there.
Yeah.
I just interviewed Aaron Cordovez 2 days ago, and he runs Zulai Kitchens, and he's a top 50 seller on Amazon, does 100 million a year on Amazon, just crushes Amazon. And he started out taking an Amazon course 7 years ago. And he's like, dude, it was awesome. It got me started, got me off the ground, got me the basics. There can be so much value in these courses. Like you said, you're like, I took a course before I even created my course.
Yeah, you know what? Like, I mean, there are some like gurus out there who push out courses and they just want to make a quick buck and they haven't built anything. But I think if you go to a creator or someone who's actually like established themselves and they've kind of proven like what they've done works, like I'll plug like Justin Welsh, for example. Like he's a creator on LinkedIn and he's really awesome. And he has a course on how to grow your LinkedIn and I guess how to get the most out of it. And I took that and it took me half a day to complete, and it's been amazing, like such a great tool. And then I have notes that I could just refer back to whenever. But yeah, there are tons of like great courses out there that people should take advantage of.
I mean, huge shout out to Justin Welsh. He does great. I follow him. I've done the exact same. I didn't end up taking his course. I took Shay Rowbottom's course, and I got to give a shout out for her.
Okay.
Her course is awesome. It's really helped me up my LinkedIn game and meet awesome people like you, like we met on LinkedIn, right? I see a lot of people that think, are all about consuming and wondering why things aren't different, and it's like, hey, like, why don't you start putting content out there? It doesn't have to be perfect. Just get it out there. People respond. You can tweak and refine, etc. And that's kind of what you've noted here. You're like, look, you got to be consistent with it. I wasn't doing one TikTok randomly. I was on a schedule.
Yeah.
Do you have a schedule for LinkedIn as well? Because I saw you have like 32,000 followers on LinkedIn. You're crushing LinkedIn.
Yeah, it's been good. Honestly, I got on there like I think less than 2 years ago. And I don't know, it was a missed thing for me. Like when I first started my business, I didn't understand the power of networking. But yeah, LinkedIn has been a great tool. Like I've met so many great people on there and it's like helped me up my business. Like, I can't even describe how great it's been. Like it's brought so many opportunities. And it's just been a timeline too. And there's always people that are watching, right? Like even though, like if you're putting up content, like buyers or investors or whoever you're trying to like get may not be engaging with your content or reaching out to you, but they're watching.
Yeah.
So I think that's the important thing. And it's consistency. Like I've kind of been slacking a little bit lately just because life's kind of busy right now. But like
Yeah.
I do like I was posting like I think every day, like last year. I was super on it. Just engaging with people's content, really making it a priority because that was kind of like again, like I don't really Facebook and Instagram are kind of like on the back burner. It's LinkedIn and TikTok for me, and I get the most return out of that. So I try to split my time between those two rather than trying to split it everywhere. Again, like even people that I talk to who want to grow on LinkedIn, they're like, well, I don't know where to start. I don't know what to post. Like I sit there and feel like I have to post every day. But I think people forget like there are tools that you can connect to your LinkedIn and you can schedule your posts and you can like sit down with yourself and time block. And there's so many different things that you can do, but it's 100% worth it if you put in the time. And I'm sure right? Like it brings forth so many opportunities.
Yeah, you have a great point that people are always watching. I had a person reach out to me like a month ago and they were like, hey Josh, we talked a year ago and I'd forgotten. And he's like, I would just, I kept seeing you on LinkedIn talking about Amazon. Can you come help us with our Amazon channel now? We're ready. And, I hadn't followed up with that guy in a year, but he just saw it. And then he reached out. I mean, that's a lead. And just from LinkedIn, and I've gotten tons of leads like that. It's crazy, but not just like you said, it's not just leads. Like, you have investors and all these other people watching. I've made some great partnerships. I've gotten to talk to great people like you. I mean, it's just like you said, so valuable putting yourself out there.
Yeah. And it just like helps people too. Like I notice like it can be very shiny sometimes. And I think when you kind of bring forward more transparent content, it resonates with a lot of people and they gravitate towards you and what you're doing. Because being an entrepreneur sucks sometimes or like a lot of the time. And I think to like show that side of it, like, pull back the curtain or whatever and just like be super honest and transparent about what it's like. It's like the only platform that's really like that. Like Instagram is very shiny. It's very like polished and photos are edited and captions are like, I don't know, thought about for days before someone posts something. And then TikTok is kind of too, like I gravitate towards that because it's a little bit more authentic and raw and real. Like you see people like rolling out of bed with like girls with no makeup on and they're like, oh my God, you guys. And they're just like very like, like it's just in the moment. And I think we're starting to see that with LinkedIn too. I think there's a shift now. Like people are starting to like be more open, especially the last 2 years. Like mental health is a huge thing. People are talking about like their hobbies, like their personal life. And I know there are people who are very like, that's Facebook. That shouldn't be on LinkedIn. But I think as an entrepreneur too, it's very intertwined. Like your business life and your personal life, they're not really two separate buckets. They're in the same bucket, all mixed together, like one big sludgy bucket,
Yeah, so one big brodo.
Okay. Yeah, one big brodo. So I think it's good, and that's why I like the platform because people are, I think, coming forward and being more honest on it.
I feel like authenticity, like you said, resonates with people more on these platforms because I'm guessing because we've been so inundated with that Instagrammed, photoshopped, everything looks perfect. Did I get all my angles right before I posted it? And maybe it's kind of a rejection of that. And people are saying, show me some raw stuff, get out of bed, whatever, the struggles of entrepreneurship, which is, they're a multitude. You're writing notes at 4 a.m. It's tough.
Yeah, totally.
So people are definitely going to want to know with your TikTok expertise and you crushing it at LinkedIn. Tell me a little bit about let's say I'm a business owner. Let's say I'm starting Josh's awesome kicks. I want to sell these sneakers I developed and I want to go viral on TikTok. Where would I start? I'm a true TikTok neophyte. All I do is swipe. I've never created one. So how do the beginners get started?
I guess if you're completely new, just like download it and spend some time like getting familiar with the app. So like when you go on, it's the only app that basically gives you a I guess, page of content that's specific to you and what you like. So the algorithm basically looks at your behavior, like your watch time, what you like, what you comment on, and then it's going to continue to deliver that content to you. So if there's 10 videos on your For You page and like 7 of them are dog videos, and you watch those dog videos all the way through and you like them and you comment on them, or you send one to your friend, the algorithm's going to be like, okay, she really likes dog videos, so let's keep giving her dog videos. And then it's just going to be a crap ton of dog videos. Like, it's very interesting if you like have 10 people in a room and they all have TikTok, and you look at all of their For You pages, they're all going to be completely different, which is really crazy to me. Like, my one friend's very spiritual, and his is just like tarot card readings and spiritual healing and retreats, and so it's very interesting to see how it works. But just get on the app. If they're starting a sneaker company, you could look up like hashtags like sneaker company, sneaker review, like things like that, and just see what other creators are doing and like what is working really well for them and what isn't working well. And I always tell people, like, it's not necessarily about the views of a video, it's about the ratio of engagement. So if you have a video that has 10,000 views, you want around 1,000 likes. If you have a video that has 100,000 views and it has 500 likes, that's not really a good video because that ratio is way off. It went viral for some reason, but it wasn't engaging enough for anyone to like comment or like it, right? So that as well. But yeah, it's just a matter of getting comfortable with the app, playing around with the in-app features, looking and seeing what works for some brands. Even competitors go on their page and see what they're doing. And then there's also a handful of creators that basically teach you how to use TikTok. Like, one that I really love is Wave Wild. Her name is literally Wave, and she's the coolest. She lives in Toronto, but she just posts like a bunch of how to do this trend, how to use this feature, things you should do, hashtags you shouldn't use. Like, she just posts very helpful tips on for TikTok. I always tell my clients, like, I recommend following creators like that because it's super helpful.
So she's kind of like the Justin Welsh of TikTok.
Yeah, exactly.
What's her handle? Can you spell it?
Yeah, so it's Wave, Wave, and then Wild, Wyld. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, everybody go check out Wave Wild. She's going to walk us through, give us lots of tips. Now, let's say I've got my sneaker, I've seen what the other sneaker companies are doing, and they're doing like these awesome, elaborate videos. Kind of what's a scaled down version that I can do in my home? Do I have to have the voiceover and the music with it? Like, kind of, can you give me some scaled down examples that anybody could run with?
Honestly, like, content that's shot on your iPhone usually performs better than professionally shot content. So I think people get like paralysis by overanalysis, and they think they have to have all these like funky, fancy things, and that's not the case at all. Like, I have literally like a tripod in my living room, and I put my phone in it, and then I pump out like 20 TikToks of me having the same location, same outfit, like, like it's nothing crazy. But I recommend like doing trends. Like, you can do trends, incorporate your brand or your product into that, because trends are great because they come and go, right? And when they are currently hot, TikTok is likely to push them out, and you're likely going to get more views. So it's good to like get on the trend bandwagon early. And you can do like, you can find trends just by scrolling and looking at your For You page and seeing like what pops up often for trends, or like following pages like Wave. Like, she says like new trend alert, and then she like has the trend example, so you don't even have to go looking for it. So yeah, there's just stuff like that is super helpful. But yeah, I mean, putting out content it doesn't have to be polished and perfect. That's way better than sitting and not putting out content and being worried. And like, for example, one of my first videos, I took a lot of time to edit it. Like, I did the in-app, like, and I edit everything on TikTok. I don't do anything externally. I don't have any fancy like Photoshop like software or anything. But this video I did take some time to make, and I think it got 3 likes. And I think someone commented, and they were like, "Damn, 3 likes, that's rough." Period. And I was
probably
like,
one of them was your mom.
Probably. And I think one of them was me too. Like, I think I liked my own video. But I read that and I was like, wow, that really hurt. But I'm gonna keep putting out content anyway.
Right. Stay strong.
So as long as you keep showing up, like, that's half the battle, is showing up, right? Like, you're gonna have some videos that do really well, and you're gonna have videos that don't do really well, and you're gonna be like, what the heck? I don't understand. Because it's just like throwing spaghetti at a wall. Like, sometimes they're going to stick, and sometimes they're just going to roll right off. You don't know. So yeah, that's my advice.
You're right. I love that analogy too, throwing spaghetti at the wall. I'm not going to forget that. So just keep throwing spaghetti at the wall every day.
Just keep throwing it. To try like freaking ravioli, fettuccine, like, all the different ones. Nothing's going to stick.
Yeah, that's great. So it sounds like you're saying like, okay, I've got this great sneaker. I shouldn't so much go on TikTok and be like, hey, TikTok, my sneaker is awesome. Come, because
No.
XYZ. You should
Yeah.
really just incorporate it into a trend. So if a
Yeah.
trend is about, give me an example of a trend.
Oh gosh. There's just like weird voiceovers and stuff. Like,
Or like a dance. I should incorporate my sneaker into the dance.
yeah, you could do it. Yeah. So trends come and go and they're just like voiceovers and then you can put text over top. Like, I think it is important to talk about the product itself, but usually break that up. So like maybe for like every sixth or eighth video or whatever, I introduce myself as the founder, right? Like I think adding in that storytelling piece, like even the behind the scenes, like you can do trends, like there's different types of buckets of content, right? So there's educational, there's entertainment, there's humor, and then there's like getting to know you, right? Like that emotional kind of connection things. And I think that's what worked really well for me is like I showed people like what I went through, my journey, like picking and packing in my living room. And I'm sure a lot of founders go through this in the early stages. So I think if someone is comfortable showing that, they should and have that storytelling component, the trends, and then even like what problem are you solving? So like how is it going to benefit the consumer? Focus on that rather than focusing on your product. Maybe like have a video of like some guy walking in shoes and the shoe is literally like the sole is falling off when they're like walking on the ground or something, or it's coming apart. And then they're like, oh my God, this shoe is broken. And then be like, this wouldn't happen with my shoe, like kind of taking it from a different approach because people hate getting sold to, especially on TikTok, because it's like the organic app. And now we're seeing the For You page, like a lot of brands are starting to put money behind their videos and it's getting on people's For You page. And it's kind of, I guess, reducing the organic content. So people get mad. They're like, why is there so many ads on my page? It's like when you're on YouTube and you're watching a video and you're super into it. And then there's like 4 ads in your video and you're like, come on, like I just want to watch the rest of my video. So it's kind of like that. So you have to come across the way as like where it's more organic. Like people don't want to be told to buy something. They want to go and buy it on their own terms, right?
I think like what you said, combining your journey with your product, it just, I don't know, at least for me, it makes me want to buy more. I'm like, oh man, I know Erica. Erica makes Brodo. I'm going to try Brodo. And then they tell their friends, they're like, oh dude, go watch this girl on TikTok while they're, eating Brodo. Like it's so different than like, I buy a pair of Nikes because I'm just, I don't really know all my thought process, but I'm like, oh, I like that shoe. It's pretty. It's cool. I buy it. But it's just the thought process, at least for me, is totally different when buying from, the founders where I can see their story, their journey. It resonates with me way more and I care way more,
I think so too. And then you can just connect with like, I guess your consumers on a more deeper level. And then it's kind of like brand loyalty, right? Like they just want to support you and love you and they're there for you. And then they tell their friends and they think you're cool. And like, even like going the extra mile and like, if they, I don't know, post a review or whatever on TikTok, like I stitch it or duet it. So I have my video side by side. So they get featured on my page. Their video literally gets made into a TikTok. And then they're like, no way. And then they tell their friends. And then their friends go and buy my product. And then they post a TikTok because then they'll get seen by 200,000 people. So that too, just like featuring them and like including them. And rather than seeing them as a number, like as a friend, like having that type of relationship, I think that's really important too.
Yeah. And that's something of value that you provide that Nike just can't, right? There is no, Phil Knight, there is no Phil Knight on TikTok saying buy my shoe.
Yeah.
Whereas, hey, I got to do a side-by-side with Erica on TikTok. Like, look at me. That's so cool.
Yeah. And that's like, I think the one thing that small businesses have over these big corporations is we have the ability to like move quicker because there's less decision-making people involved. Like we can pivot and do things that those big corporations can't. And then we can kind of like tug on our audience's heartstrings, right? Like, because it's the founder who's telling the story, connecting with everyone, responding to the comments. Like you see them like dropping off an order to a store or whatever, having a bad day, right? Like, whereas Nike can't really do that. They can hire someone to like be an influencer or like a content creator for them, but it just doesn't like hit the same, right?
Yeah, the loyalty I just don't think is anywhere near as deep as it is when you see the founder.
Yeah, exactly.
I did want to touch a little bit on LinkedIn, given your LinkedIn expertise. Do you kind of bring the same approach to LinkedIn? We can always pitch Justin Welsh. We'll get Justin Welsh on the program and be like, dude, Erica said, just buy your course and win at LinkedIn. But what is your personal approach to LinkedIn?
Yeah, I guess just showing up and being like authentic. And it's so lame, but like that's been my mission since getting on there. Like I went on there, I had 12 connections in like I think it was late 2020. And I basically only got on that platform because I didn't know how to grow my business. I hit a wall and I had no one helping me do anything. And I had no knowledge of how to take my business from like a certain level to, like a bit higher up. So I got on there and I just started messaging a bunch of different people that I admired in the industry who have built really incredible companies. And then some of them actually are still my mentor to this day. But yeah, I got really upset when I went on my feed and I saw all this shiny stuff. Like, I fundraised X amount of dollars. I got into this account. I got into that account. Like my team is 75 people now and it's been 1 year. And,
Yep.
I was looking at all of that and I was like sitting in a pile of my own tears, like not knowing what to do with my company. And I felt so confused. And I'm like, maybe I'm not an entrepreneur. I feel like an imposter because all these people obviously know what they're doing. And then I started having calls with founders. And then I started to hear about all of the crap that goes on, whether it be like with operations or like their service or product or something happening or them having like imposter syndrome and like not knowing how to hire or be a leader. Like all of that stuff started coming to the surface. And then I wondered like, well, how come no one's talking about it? Like we all put up this like big shiny front that we are a certain way and things are a certain way, but behind closed doors, it's completely the opposite. And that continues to be true for a lot of companies. Like I hear stuff, but then I only see certain things. So it's like, come on, like, like the people that are out there struggling, like early on in their journey, like they expect things to look a certain way. And then when it's not like that, it gets super upset. It gets super discouraged, feel super defeated. So I guess my approach was just to be transparent about every aspect of the company and kind of show that and post consistently. And I guess continue to do that over the course of being on LinkedIn. And I honestly started doing it myself because I'm like, okay, it's cool to just like share my journey and kind of build my network. But then when I started to get messages from basically like entrepreneurs or people who are curious about entrepreneurship from all over the world, like they're like, thank you for posting this. Like I literally am going through this right now. Or like it feels so isolating and alone being like a solopreneur. Like I really relate to like what you're putting out there. Just like the impact that you can have on someone with one post that takes you 10 minutes to write, right? Like it goes a long way. And I think people underestimate what it can do.
Yeah, the power of transparency and being authentic is awesome. I mean, I'll be frank, I go through all the same struggles every founder does, in my, I still do. Not quite as much as I used to, but like in my early days, I remember like just at the end of the day being like, what am I doing? I'm an idiot. Like, this is so dumb. I should quit. I need to go get a job again. Like, all those thoughts, and they were constant. And I mean, I still have them to this day. It's a little bit less frequent, but I still have days where I'm just like, this is stupid, Josh. Like, go get a real job, man. You're not going to make it, etc. Especially too, when you see that polished stuff, I see my competitors, they'll post like, oh, just hit our 75th hire. We just raised 10 million. And I'm like, shit, should I be raising? Like we've bootstrapped. Am I doing it wrong?
Oh gosh. Yeah.
So many questions.
I know.
So the authenticity, I think you're just doing yourself a favor and everybody else a favor, to be honest. I mean, celebrate your wins for sure, but also, share your losses.
Yeah, it's totally okay to brag, but just make sure like, you're not like only sharing the half truth of things, because I think that's super important. But same thing with me, like with people fundraising, and I'm like bootstrapping, right? And like even me like picking and packing in my dining room table, I'm like, am I doing this wrong? Am I not supposed to do this? Right? Like, like some people skip this whole part of their business. Like, does this make sense for me? Like, and then people bring on investors. It's like, okay, well, they're doing it, so I feel like I should be doing it. And there's just no like cookie cutter approach to any business model. It doesn't matter like what industry you're in. Everyone has their own unique path. And I think like sometimes it's hard and like you take the blinders off and you're kind of looking around and seeing what's beside you, and it's distracting. And then it kind of like messes up your path and you're like, okay, now I actually don't really know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I think while it's important to like be aware of like what your competitors are doing, what other people are doing, don't let it deter you from what you think to be right for yourself. And even with like mentors, for example, like I have 5 different people that I go to, and sometimes they'll all tell me different things. And I'm just like, oh shit. So I sit down with myself and I'm like, okay, which one is right for me right now? And I just like try to like get in touch with myself. And I'm like, okay, this is the decision I'm going to make. If it doesn't work, that's okay. At least I thought it was the best for me at this moment in time, right? Because we are going to make mistakes and it's okay. But yeah.
There's so much value that you just shared there to unpack. Like, stop taking the blinders off, stop looking left and right. Like, everybody's got a different path to success. And imagine if there was like 5 universes, right? And 5 Ericas that each took a different mentor's advice. They probably are all still going to wind up being successful. It's just going to be a different journey.
Exactly. It's like that. Yeah. It's like that with anything, like with relationships and family and friendships and, careers and whatever. Like there's always like, it's a series of events that everything's kind of just linked to each other, and you're going to get somewhere someday. You don't know where it is. Right. But
just keep going.
Just keep going. And if you're like not going to quit, you're not going to fail. Right. So that's the key.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, that's what Aaron said on when he was on his podcast, or when we talked. He's like, look, just keep going, change your maybes to how can I's. And so instead of saying like, oh, maybe I'll post on LinkedIn today, be like, how can I post on LinkedIn today? And then do it. And then just keep doing it and just keep doing it. And he's like, eventually you'll get there. He's like, I mean, I don't think he went to college. He took an untraditional route. It took him 3 years to get profitable. Yeah, I think he said 2 to 3 years to get profitable. That's a long time. Like, I mean, that's 700 plus days of waking up saying, I'm not making any money doing what I'm doing.
Yeah. I know. I'm on year 2, and I'm like, it's a delayed gratification game, but like as long as you're passionate, and that's what I tell people too. They're like, I want to get into entrepreneurship, because again, they only see the surface level, and it's like, I want to make a ton of money and work like 10 hours a week and work for myself and not answer to anyone. And I'm like, no, you're going to make $0. You're going to work double the time. You're going to be stressed out, and you're not going to make any money for most businesses right away, right? Like you have to put in, the sweat equity, and then eventually it'll pay for itself. But it's really hard doing something you don't love and you're not getting paid for it, right? It's not going to get you up out of bed. So
yeah, you got to want it is what it sounds like.
Absolutely.
Speaking of, how can people follow you? How can they know more about your journey? Can you tell us your TikTok handle, about a little bit about the course, how to find you on LinkedIn, everywhere?
Yeah. So LinkedIn is just Erica Rankin, ERICARANKIN. My website is growwitherica.com. I offer one-on-one consulting and my TikTok course there. And then if you want to check out my Instagram or my TikTok account, it's just Brodo Canada, BRODOUGH Canada.
Brodo Canada. I followed your TikTok. It's loads of fun. I love what you're putting out.
Thank you.
You're crushing it. You're 100% going to be successful. I support you and I believe in you. And
thank you.
Thanks for coming on and sharing your journey.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. It was great talking to you.
Wow, Erica Rankin is a rock star. If you live in Canada, be sure to go get yourself a Brodo. If you don't, find a friend that lives in Canada, have them buy some Brodo for you, and then ship it to you in the US or wherever you're located. But before you do that, like and subscribe to catch the next episode. Take care.